I've seen him, but I don't think we've ever formally met. Tyler, nice to meet you. Yes, sir. Yeah. Correct. Sharp. Very sharp. Good to see you, sir. Nice to meet you. How did you know?
Good evening. We're still missing one commissioner, but we have Commissioner Roebuck on the phone, so that gives us a quorum. Would everybody please rise for the invocation given by Mr. Alan Reisman and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening and ask that you give the commissioners and city staff the wisdom to make the best decisions on behalf of all the city of Leesburg. We pray for the safety of our first responders and our troops overseas and all of our government officials, and we ask this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is a City Commission meeting for Monday, September 28th. We have no proclamations tonight. We have no presentations tonight. We're going to do public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration.
Hi, my name is Judy Phillips, and I live at 529 Gulfview Court, Leesburg, in Pembroke Fairways. And I understand I'm here with a request that maybe you all are not aware of yet. But I received a letter in my water bill that of a raise for the water company. And they're going to go ahead. I thought you all would be aware of this. And I was requesting that you do not approve this rate. I was told by the water company, I don't know what the percentages was, but my bill generally runs around $46 a month. And they told me that it would be an increase of about $20, which for the sewer and the water consumption, which is almost half my bill. I'm a widow. I live on a fixed income, and I try to be frugal with my expenses, and this is outrageous to me. And I would request, please, when it does come before the commissioners, that they do not pass this. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up to us, Mrs. Phillips. Mr. Minner has already been informed of this and will be contacting you.
Before you leave, if you just sat down right in front of the Public Works Director, his name is Cliff. If you would give him your information, he'll take into this. I'm not sure what notice you received. We're not scheduled to have a water increase. or a major one. There is a CPI adjustment in the fiscal year 21 budget, which actually is in the authority of staff to do. We generally do those incrementally pursuant to CPI. So you shouldn't see a major jump like that. So it's either you got notice about an irrigation issue, or you got notice about a metering issue, or maybe you're just having some issues there. But Cliff will get with you and we'll figure out where it's at. But we're going to need your account numbers and your address so we can take a look at your history.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has a comment? Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commission or staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the item from the consent agenda. 2, vote on remaining items with 1 roll call vote. And 3, discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. Would somebody like to pull any items? Commissioner Roebuck, did you want to pull anything?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Could we have a motion to accept all items, please?
Move for approval.
Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Mayor Dennison?
Yes. Okay, we're going to move to public hearings and non-routine items. The first is 6A, and this is a discussion on civic funding. Mr. Minner, you had some instruction there?
Yeah, at your last budget hearing, you requested that we find another 50 grand for you to consider to increase the civic funding allocations for fiscal year 21. In your agenda package is a chart. That chart shows your previous year, this year's civic funding, and then your proposal to date on fiscal year 21, where you have increased a couple of different organizations. So we went back, we did do some adjustment of some revenues and nipped and tucked a little bit and found 50 grand. So that will be in your next item when you consider the budget. So essentially, if you want to move forward with the 50 grand, we recommend that you decide how you want to allocate that. And then next meeting, as we normally do, we'll come back to you with the civic grant contracts with your funding as you discussed this evening, plus the other nights.
Do you want a list of the donations tonight, or can we take this and bring it up on the next meeting?
You can do it as you want. How we have done it in the past is to do it and establish it through the budget process. So where we're at to date is the chart that's in your packet there. You know, I can't remember what the exact number. It's the cemetery and the stuff that you've done from year to year with a few increases. I think you increased the chamber. I think you increased the art club, the band, and a couple other things. So that's where we're at tonight. So if you just decide in this item, just go with what we have and we'll spend the 50 later. Just let me know how you want to spend that later, or let me know how you want to spend it tonight, and that's how we'll put it's up to you all.
Okay. Commissioners?
I thought we brought that up, though, the other night, a list of what we were talking about, and that was the downtown, that was the Center for the Arts. I thought we had given a list last week when we were here.
I don't think there was a consensus, but the organizations y'all did bring up was the partnership, the art center, thank you, Marie, and Downtown Business Association, kind of major discussion items.
So I want to add the West Leesburg CDC.
And the CDC.
And the CDC, I remember that.
West Leesburg.
West Leesburg.
Yeah, with all the uncertainty, I think this budget year is different with COVID and everything. I wouldn't mind breaking the rules and just leaving some, kind of holding that money back and more like an emergency fund for different groups. I do want to get the DLBA some amount of money. I think we can come to terms on that tonight. But I don't have any recommendations beyond that group tonight.
Well, I think the four downtown, I'm thinking there, and the fourth one.
Thanks for the partnership, right?
And everything I forget now, it's not old age. I blame it on my stroke. What was the fourth one, John?
I thought you said the partnership. Didn't you say the partnership?
Was it given more to the partnership? I thought we had
No,
allocated some to them already.
there was another group. That's why I'm saying let's go ahead, vote that money to be held, and then the next meeting finalize it with the amounts.
Okay, can we do that?
Because you're right, there was a fourth one, not the partnership. So if we could get that information to Al this week, and the next meeting we'll finalize that.
Was it the melon patch?
No, I
No.
think it was, you guys had talked, I think it was 5. I think you talked about CDC, the Arts Center, Downtown Business Association Partnership, and I think you also spoke of the Chamber. So I think,
Is that what it was?
Well, you had already increased the chamber. That's why I'm saying we've got to get the information.
the
Commissioner-
information is before you, Mayor. That's
If
how,
I go off the thing here,
that's how you're set up today.
do you
So
have...
you all need to decide how you spend the next 50. If you want to kick the can down the road, that's fine. I've got no issue with that. If you want to settle it tonight, that's fine. But the information is in your packets on where you are at today.
And you don't have the page number, so I'm not going to go through 600 pages here.
At least it's on this thing.
It's in this table.
Okay.
Second to last page.
Maybe the column on your far right.
Yeah, melon patch is already on here. We already boosted them.
You've increased the Art Center by $4,300 to $15,000. You've increased the CDC to $1,120 to $5,000 total. You've increased Melon Patch $4,500 to $10,000.
And that
No,
adds
no,
up to $14,950, not $50,000.
Melon Patch to 10, and the high school band $5,000 to $6,400. So your total allocation is $196,925 today. You then instructed us to add on another $50,000.
That's correct.
So you'd be sitting at $240,46. That $50,000 is not put in your chart.
That's correct.
So tell us how you want to spend it.
And I'm telling you to kick it down the road, and we'll come up with a decision.
All right.
I thought I was clear on that.
Mayor, may I add something?
Yes, Dan?
I guess I agree on kicking the can down the road. The one thing I would like to get that back to us, that's something I'd like to see us be able to fund by the next meeting.
Okay. $10,000.
Well, can we do this then, Mayor? Why don't we, since we know we want to do West CDC, DBLA, and who's the third one? No. Center for the Arts. We know we want to do those three, so we could allocate those and leave the rest of it remaining, as Commissioner Peterson said, and then discuss the final remaining monies at the next meeting.
Okay, my only question there is Center for the Arts, that is not an additional $4,300. That's part of the increase for the 21 budget. So we need the numbers that you want to give to these individuals.
Well, they need 10,000 for downtown. I was
Right.
thinking additional 10,000 for the Center for the Arts, 10,000 for West Side CDC, and then that leaves us 20,000 for whatever would be the final 2 or 3 groups that we decided to do. That would be what I would propose.
And I would say, I'd recommend Boys and Girls Club and the Chamber for the additional money if we want to make a decision tonight.
So I'd prefer to see the organizations come back with specific proposals for what they want to do at this point. I mean, the Center for the Arts, I'm not opposed to giving them more money, but we already did increase their budget just to kind of help them out in general. So I guess the only one I'm okay with right now is the billboard thing, and then the rest I'd like to see what we're going to be doing, because I think when we have our conversation at the end of the meeting about events coming back up, if we go down the road of more events, I think these events are going to be challenging from a sponsor standpoint, and so they're going to be coming to the city looking for help to make things happen, and I want to make sure that we're able to do that.
I agree, Commissioner Roebuck. For example, if we just hand the arts another $10,000, that'll be $25,000 next year, up from a usual $10,600. So I think we need to step back and really think the numbers through and have the organizations give us what they plan on spending the money on.
And I can't speak on behalf of the West Leesburg CDC. I just know they doing some good work in West Leesburg, and they need as much help they can get to stay alive. So that was my recommendation, to assist them as much as we could. But I think Ken works with them. So Ken, if you can get them to bring a presentation, I don't have a problem asking them to bring a presentation. But I think they deserve $10,000 on that side of town as well. So.
Is Ken here? Oh, hi, Ken. Would you put together some numbers and a presentation on what that money would be used for in the CDC? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Maria, can you put something together why you need money? That shouldn't be hard, right?
In downtown business, we've already heard from you. So I think we've got a little bit more that we need to discuss. So can we approve tonight the $50,000 to be put into civic funding and then finalize this during the next meeting?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Dennison.
Yes. Okay. We have a public hearing on the proposed millage and proposed budget for the fiscal year 2020 to 2021. This is the second reading. As last meeting, we went ahead and proposed the rest. Brandy, please proceed.
Name of taxing authority, the City of Leesburg, Florida. The proposed millage rate of 4.1086 is 0% higher than the current year rolled back rate of 4.1086. The millage rate to be levied, 4.1086 mills per 1,000. On July 27th, the Commission approved the tentative millage rate of 4.1086 mills per 1,000, or the rollback rate. This is a decrease from the prior fiscal year. Whereas the proposed budget was developed using 4.1086 mills per 1,000, therefore the tentative millage rate of 4.1086 mills per 1,000 represents a 0% increase from the current year rollback rate and is not a tax increase under trim guidelines.
Are there any comments from the public on this? So you're looking at a tax rollback. Okay. We're going to adopt the resolution finally adopting the millage rate. We need a roll call on this. Somebody like to introduce, please?
I introduce and recommend Rabbi Ty Long.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, finally adopting 4.1086 mills as the fiscal year 2020-21 millage rate for the City of Leesburg, Florida, representing the current year proposed aggregate millage rate of 4.1086 mills, which is 0% more than the current year rolled back rate, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Mayor Dennison.
Yes. Adopt a resolution finally adopting the 2021 budget. Would somebody like to introduce, please?
I'll introduce SB read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, adopting the fiscal year 2020-21 budget for the City of Leesburg, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Motion for approval, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Mayor Dennison.
Yes. And would the budget manager please announce the adopted millage rate?
The adopted millage rate represents the current year proposed aggregate millage rate of 4.1086 mills per 1,000.
Thank you. Okay, 6C, would somebody like to introduce, please?
I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, amending the City of Leesburg Code of Ordinances, Chapter 10.5, Flood Damage Prevention and Protection, to make modifications to bring the regulations into conformance with the most current FEMA-approved floodplain management ordinance for Florida communities that is coordinated with the Florida Building Code, providing for applicability and severability, and providing an effective date.
Motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Mayor Dennison?
Yes. 6D, would somebody like to introduce, please?
I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, rezoning approximately 30.53 acres from P Public and R3 High Density Residential to PUD Planned Unit Development for property generally located east of Pixiola Road and south of Park Holland Road as legally described in Sections 14 and 15, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Dennison?
Yes. 6E, first reading. Would somebody like to introduce, please?
I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, rescinding Ordinance 18-19, amending the City of Leesburg Comprehensive Plan, future land use element to establish the Naval Undersea Warfare Center, Okahumpka Mission Impact Zone, future land use overlay area, providing for compatible land uses, providing for appropriate objectives and policies to ensure compatibility and notification, providing for conflict with other ordinances, providing a savings clause, and providing an effective date.
Any discussion on this? This is the first reading. Okay, the second reading will be October 12th. 6F, would somebody introduce, please?
I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, adopting the new Greater Leesburg Community Redevelopment Area Plan for the Greater Leesburg Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA, and extending the terms for the Greater Leesburg Community Redevelopment Agency through the year of 2050, providing that tax increment revenues derived from the existing redevelopment area will be deposited into the already existing redevelopment trust fund, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing a savings clause, and providing an effective date.
This also is the first reading. Any discussion? The second reading will be October 12th for this issue. 6G, would somebody like to introduce, please?
Sure, I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, appointing 2 regular members and 1 alternate member to the Leesburg Planning Commission and providing an effective date.
Discussion?
I think we have to fill in these blanks, Madam Mayor.
Do we have any nominations on this issue? Do we have any people that have come forward to sit on this?
Got 6.
Yeah.
Yours on here.
6.
There's 5.
5.
Yeah.
Or 6, I'm
I
sorry.
got 6. No.
Yeah, 6. You need 2 regulars and 1 alternate.
Okay. I don't see that on this file that I'm trying to go through. Do we have the names? Way back. Okay. Bear with me, please.
Are the names that are on here are ones that are expiring and then need to be replaced, like Woods and Sennett, Coleman and Woods, and Tim Sennett's name's on here.
They have
Well, I'll go ahead and comment. I have been pleased with the Planning Commission over the last year. I think we've been more in agreement than maybe my first year on the commission, where our recommendations didn't match up. So I would support keeping the 2 current members, and I would recommend Tim Sennett for the alternate.
I second that.
Was that a second?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Well, I guess we didn't have much discussion earlier, but I like Nathaniel Sanders, who couldn't be here because he had a touch of interaction with COVID, but I would like to see some new blood on the Planning and Zoning Commission, so I would highly recommend Nathaniel Sanders as either alternate or a regular member.
Okay, it looks like we're going to need a vote.
Now, Coleman is on here. What is he, why is his application on here?
He's expired.
He's expiring?
His term.
That's what I mean. And he is wanting to renew?
How long has he been on the board? Does anybody know?
He was on here when I got here.
He's an original member that goes back to the 1970s, late 70s.
So, and I think we've kind of said, I know Commissioner Roebuck, we kind of said that when people come and express interest, especially newer people, that we give them opportunity. So, nothing against Mr. Coleman, but I think we should give an opportunity. Actually, the planning and zoning, their recommendation has been in contrary to the city council. We've actually had to override several of their last year decisions. So for me, I think I'm good with having some new people on the planning and zoning.
Well, then, I think my recommendation, because I didn't realize Mr. Coleman's was expiring, I would say then my recommendation would, Chris Wood has just finished his first 2 years on it, so he's new to it. And then we let Tim Sennett take Mr. Coleman's spot, because he obviously has been involved in this community forever, knows real estate and development. And then we make Nathaniel Sanders the alternate.
I'm good with that.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that as well. I will say that I'm always, Commissioner Kirchner was correct, I'm always about, giving new people opportunity, but Coleman was one of the only commissioners, I think, that consistently kind of was in line with this commission in terms of wanting to see some more development, but he has been on for a long time, so I'm okay with moving someone else. And I think at some point we may want to, I don't know if we can do some sort of, are we allowed to do workshops with the Planning and Zoning Commission or not, if that's outside the scope? Because I worry that they're taking into account things that they're not supposed to, like the capacity of state and county roads, and getting off what we're supposed to do.
Feed that dog, please.
Whitestone.
And I think it would be nice too, is if the city could recognize Mr. Coleman's service. I mean, that's a lot of years service that he's given to this city. And so I think if we could figure out something, Dan and now, to recognize his years of service to us, besides the $25 a year he got.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I have a motion on what was just discussed and where you want to move to on
So I make
this?
a motion to put Chris Woods and Tim Sennett in the full-time seats and Nathaniel Sanders as the alternate.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Mayor Dennison.
Yes. And I do agree with the recognizing Mr. Coleman. If we could do a proclamation, thank you. Okay. Six H, would somebody like to introduce, please?
I'll introduce, it has to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a civic organization funding agreement with Leesburg Cemeteries, Inc. during fiscal year 2020-21 and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yes.
Mayor Dennison?
Yes. 6I, would somebody like to introduce, please?
That's a discussion.
Okay. Discussion, please.
I mean, I'll open it up. I mean, I'm excited. I don't really know that there's really a lot of discussion.
Could you get closer to your microphone, please?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know that there needs to
Thank
be a
you.
lot of discussion. The governor has opened up Phase 3, and I think that right now, Leesburg, it's been coming, and, you know, our businesses have been struggling for a long time. Everybody understands the quality of life has been restricted, but right now we got businesses closing. And so for me, I say we open up and get back to it. I mean, you know, Universal and Disney and all those parks are open. I mean, it's been lifted by the governor, with even implications that we're not even allowed to override. We can't do mask punishments. We can't do none of that. So I don't know that there's really a lot to discuss.
Anybody else?
So while I do agree in general with the idea that, you know, we need to be more open, and now's the time to start considering certain events. One, I think it's important to note that as a city, we never closed any businesses. And I think a lot of the executive order was directed at cities that did elect to close businesses. That's not something that we ever did. Two, I think we do still have some discretion in the terms of when it comes to special events, which ones the city approves or doesn't approve, just like the theme parks, while they are open, are not open at 100% capacity, because that's their decision. They're certainly allowed to now. You know, they've canceled some of their bigger kind of events like Halloween Horror Nights, Disney's Halloween event as well. But with that being said, I am okay with some events. And I think the city should do everything we can to support events going forward, because I think they are going to be a struggle for the organizations that have been putting them on, because lack of sponsorship, some reduced attendance, but they are, as Commissioner Hurley pointed out, so important to the city in terms of bringing people back and supporting our businesses. In light of that, I think we also need to be cognizant that the events done are high quality events, and kind of up to the standards of what we've done. And honestly, the only one that's been put out there that I'm concerned about is the whole idea of Gator Harley trying to do their own October Bike Fest. I think that, and I get the reason one to do it, and I've talked to the both the president of the partnership and the executive director, and they both said that, look, if you come to us and ask us, do we want to do Bike Fest in the fall, our answer now is no. It's too late. We can't do a quality event in this rushed period of time, and we want to focus on April. I don't like the idea of another organization trying to do that event. I think it hurts the brand that the partnership is built up around that event. I think we should all be putting our efforts to the Spring Bike Fest. I'm certainly supportive of Gator continuing to do their smaller 500 to 1,000 type person events that they've been doing, and any way we can support those, I think would be great. But the idea of a big 15,000 person event is not something I want to see. And frankly, if there was no COVID and someone came and said, hey, let's do a 15,000 person fall Bike Fest, I wouldn't be supportive of that. I think once a year has been great for Leesburg, but I also don't want to see us become Daytona, where our whole downtown is revolving around Bike Fest and bikers. I think it's a great addition to Leesburg. Once a year, let's do it right. Let's have the big quality event that we've become accustomed to. But that's really my only comment on that, only issue I have.
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to say a lot on that, but I've been frustrated a little bit, and I have to be honest with you. I've been frustrated with the commission because, we have had events that have been canceled, and the city refused to give permits out
But then we, instead of being brazen enough to say that we are choosing to limit or restrict those events, we made groups like the partnership say that they were canceling it because of guidelines or cautions or whatever, and take the black eye. Number two, you know, I'm a little surprised because I thought everybody had probably been updated, but we're not doing a bike fest, to my understanding. After I talked to the Leesburg partnership, they didn't feel like they could do a bike fest, but what Gator has going on is not a bike fest like Leesburg Bike Fest. And it is Gator Bike Fest. I know Al met with them and expressed to me, and if he's changed his opinion, he can view that tonight too, but expressed to me once he understood, it's more of a sell. And, you know, number one, you couldn't get 5,000 people on top of Gator Harley Davidson if they wanted to stack them in there like sardines. Number two, you certainly couldn't get 15,000. Does he hope that 5,000 or 6,000 would trickle through the day? But being a bike rider, I know how it works. You know, as a motorcyclist, you want to go from destination to destination. You don't go somewhere and park for the day. It's not a theme park. So you go to Gator, you buy a t-shirt, you get a hot dog, you look at a cool bike you hope you can buy one day. Maybe somebody will buy it that day. Then you go to Yalaha and you get a drink, and then you go to Mount Bird and you ride through the hills and you go to Claremont, and you know, it's a loop thing. So, you know, I think to punish Gator when they're just trying to have an event, I mean, they lost the biggest event for their business throughout the year, and you know, there wasn't in here jumping up and down and demanding money from us and all that. And now they're trying to have a sales event. I promise you, if Jenkins, if we knew we could have some kind of sales event that would bring 15,000 people to our car lot, we would be on it like stink on trash. And I'm sorry, I sounded weird, but I couldn't think of nothing that wasn't dirty. So, you know, for me, you know, I mean, I applaud Gator, but they have changed it, you know, for the commissioners who are worried. It's just their event. And no other cities now, they've all backed out and said they're not doing anything. I did talk to the partnership who said they couldn't put it on. I encouraged the partnership maybe to go in conjunction that weekend and do something small, like just a concert venue. You know, they could have a couple bands that day that came out somewhere just to start doing things. But I don't think that we have to worry about 15,000 people rolling in here at a time and taking over Leesburg. I mean, that's just not what the event is. He's going to have not even probably what, John, you said 20-30% of the vendors you normally would have?
70 vendors, 77 vendors usually have. Leesburg Bike Fest will have 20 vendors.
So he's going to go from, you know, he's going to go much smaller, and it's just something for Gator to try to survive and to do business, and I respect that. I also know that, you know, what you're saying, Commissioner Roebuck, I mean, the city has the right to deny permits, so maybe that's the discussion we need to have tonight instead of can we open up, because I think that for us to be in a state where we're open up, everybody else is doing things, and then now we're going to start going, yeah, well, 3-2, we voted not to issue a permit, tell them to cancel their program and just take the heat. Well, that's not right in my book. If we're going to do that, let's man up and say, yeah, I don't want to do it, and I'm saying to the city manager not to issue the permit.
I think people need some clarification on what the governor said on Friday. That was to increase the capacity of the bars and restaurants. It still has...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It still has not been approved nor the official issued. I think we've got to retain some common sense. Just because the governor says, okay, open up and do everything, that's not what he's saying. He is not a medical person. You see what's happened with the colleges opened and the schools open. This COVID thing's not magically over. So I really think we need clarification from the governor, and I think we need to keep some common sense on what we're telling people to do. Now, the art festival for October, I fully think we could let that happen because of the fact that it is outside. There's not a massive of 20,000 people coming, and I think we can start that and start having some positive effect in that way. But I really think that Leesburg has got to have some common sense. You know, we can just say as a commissioner, sure, open everything up, then what? I really think we need to think about this. That's how I feel.
And I agree with you. And so let's use common sense. Let's just say that we're going to let Gator have it. Common sense. He's going to have a couple hundred people at a time outside. Let's say we have the Brews and Brews. It's people in the park outside. Let's say we have the art festival. Let's say we have the beach feast outside. And let's not forget, we're not a metropolitan area. We're little old Leesburg. When we can get 300 or 400 people to show up, we applaud ourselves outside of Bike Fest. So I am using common sense when I say let's open up and start letting our businesses do things that bring people back into town and start allowing things to happen in our life. If you look at our fall schedule every year, they're going to have the Christmas wine walk where you walk to the stores, and if they can have 100 people show up and walk all the way up and down Main Street, all spread out, 2 or 3 people in a business at a time, getting a little glass of wine, hopefully buying a Christmas gift. I mean, it is that, and you're right, this isn't magically going to go away until the election's over, and then it'll magically go away. But until then, it is common sense to say, I mean, we just had a dinner in here with 300 people or 200, whatever it was. You know, when we want to use things or do things, we can do them because we're the city, or we allow it under certain circumstances. And I don't see the common sense in that to say that we can allow some things to happen outdoors, but you can't do it here, but you can do it here. There's got to be consistency. I mean, that's what I'm frustrated with, is the lack of consistency in this. So I vote, and to clear it, I mean, we need to get with Fred and Al, but that is not what the governor said. He has opened the state back up to phase 3, saying in part in that conversation to it, that means there is no limitations on restaurants or bars to go to 100% capacity.
Yeah, my thoughts are, I am comfortable with the small, medium events. I think people are ready for the quality of life. The nonprofits are ready to make money, do their events. I think we can challenge these groups to manage these in a safe, responsible way. I think people are ready to make. It's time for people personal decision. There's people for this, people against it. So let some people have fun, let the others stay home. I support the Gator Harley event entirely. I think it falls in my small, medium size event. So, I'm ready to move forward. I would not be thrilled to see Bike Fest in November, so I'm fine with it in April. But I'd really like to see some of these events going and get these nonprofit groups back on their feet.
Commissioner Christian?
Well, I guess I wasn't privy to a lot of the conversation. I think Commissioner Roebuck mentioned something about calling it Gator Bike Fest. That's the name of the event. So I think Commissioner Roebuck had a very good point. I mean, if we got Leesburg Bike Fest and someone has another event that calls it the same thing, just change the first name, I think that does create some issue for me, because it is our signature event that we allow in our city. I do agree with the mayor. We have to use and encourage as much common sense, not just for special events, but for our entire city. I still got my mask on, but I think that's something we need to. I do concur. The governor has given us phase 3 opening, so we, as a city, I think we do put a lot of pressure on our city manager to try to manage our events and manage different organizations that come to offer up activities in the city support. Oftentimes we're going to have city employees working these events, and so we're asking our employees to assist in large scale events. With that being said, I think that we do allow certain groups to open up, and that creates a problem because, as Commissioner Hurd said, some may get no, some get told yes, and then it goes on borderline of inconsistency, and of course that's even more pressure on Al and becomes political. Phase 3 means what phase 3 means, and I think that we need to make sure that we're legal and what we're deciding to do. Can we restrict? We're saying 5,000 people may show up, maybe 15,000 people show up, and we, at that point it's oops, we should have done better. Crowd control, police control. I would just, if we do go forward with it, our city manager gets with our police department to make sure that it's very strict on how many people we allow into that small space, because it could become a big event, whether we say big or not. So I think there's also a safety issue that we must make sure that we put in place. I'm not opposed to having an event. I just think we need to use caution. I'm not so excited about the name because I think the name could be muddled in with the Leesburg Bike Fest. So I will hope that we move forward in the future, that we are very careful about the naming of the event, so that we're not having people think that it's in conjunction with the Leesburg Bike Fest. City manager, I don't know how you will work that out. I know it's a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility, but it's hard to tell one group no and tell another group yes. Then we do get into the whole thing: is it outside? Are you spacing yourself out? How many people show up? My biggest concern is how many people will show up. I mean, it could be 15,000 because people are raring to get back outside. They are wanting to come to an event. So I will hope that our city staff is working very close with Gator if we move forward with that event, just for safety concerns.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And I'll ask if, and Mayor, we can have, I know that John Malik's here. I've spent a lot of time trying to work on this, and I can tell you, Commissioner Christian, a lot of motorcycle dealerships have sales events and things, and they call it a bike event.
Okay.
So, fest type thing. So, I think most people are going to know when it says Gator Bike Fest opposed to the city of, and I know that he told me they've spent hardly nothing on advertising, opposed to when we advertise it, the partnership's advertising it, he's advertising it, every city and bar around town. And the other thing too, a lot of people, they plan for these things. So there's people that we're fortunate enough that come from other states even to our big bike fest that we do in April, but they plan that for a year, and here it's somebody's going to say, hey, that in maybe 100-mile radius, whatever, Leesburg Gators doing a thing, let's ride over there. But I know that somewhere on any given weekend, as a Harley owner, I know I can pull up on a website and somewhere somebody every weekend's having something to try to get a couple hundred guys to come in and buy a t-shirt. So, I mean, I applaud him if he's creative enough in some way to get 5,000 people to show up. I'll get advice for him for my company. But I mean, I just think that, we need to handle it. And I did talk to him. They put sanitizing stations out there. I mean, they have got a whole list of stuff they're doing to try to follow guidelines, because when they put this together, they didn't even know Phase 3 was going to be lifted. So they were putting things in place to try to get everything to fall within the guidelines that are set out. And I know they had already been working with the sheriff's office to make sure there was no traffic issues. And, I'm sure he's with our police department too. I don't know that, but I know he was talking to the sheriff's department, and he's talked to Al in depth a couple of times. So, I just think that it's time to listen. And Mayor, I agree. I mean, if we were Orlando, Miami, I could see when we're trying to worry about the metropolitan problems, but we're not. And we don't have the crowds they have. We don't have the issues. And I just, I vote to get things going again, to get our fall events. We should be able to get a list together of what the stuff normally is, and let Leesburg start being Leesburg. And as Commissioner Peterson said, if you don't feel safe, that's fine. We respect that. Just don't come. Common sense in the biggest way.
I don't think anybody's arguing with what you want to do with opening up Leesburg. The only problem I have with what you just said was our police and our employees should have the choice of whether or not they want to attend, rather than this is your job, you go and attend this thing. However, again, nobody is arguing with what you're saying. I'm all for opening up, but I want it done with common sense and with the police involved and with Al's office involved, not everybody running off and doing their own thing. So would you like a vote tonight of reopening, or how do you want to handle this?
I don't know if a vote is necessary. I think because this is on one hand, it is a administrative issue for issuing permits, or when special events do come to this body, then that comes before you. So as I see the conversation, this is where I think we're at. I think, the governor's pushed us into Phase 3. Frankly, based on the governor's executive order, I think it's hard to discern whether that's all of Phase 3 or a portion of Phase 3. But I think on face value, we probably should take that as phase 3 in full. I mean, once in Leesburg, once you open restaurants and bars, there's not much else left to do. We don't have major attraction or theme parks, which is part of 3. Part of the governor's order of 3 was the limit of some other things, which you probably can throw in there, which aren't a big issue. So having said that, where I see this body is at is that, okay, we're ready to do festivals again, or special events. Most of the special events that are in the fall are sponsored by either the partnership or the city. I will say Beast Feast is in there, so that's Downtown Business Association of the Art Festival, right? I'm sorry, I always keep mixing that up. So you've got the Arts Festival, you've got the Beast Feast, you've got the Balloon Fest, Christmas House, the parade, those type issues all coming up, which I would think under phase 3 are workable. So I would say if those organizations are ready to do that and come see the Special Events Committee with the city, okay, we're going to work on those issues. Bike Fest, I think a fall November Bike Fest, it seems is out of the equation, and I don't think because of this body again, and I don't mean to push back blame on that, but from what I've heard, and I don't know if there's been an official action, but it seems to me the executive board as well as Joe thinks that a fall Bike Fest is not going to work. And then finally, as it gets back to Gator Harley, I'll get with our friends over at Gator Harley and Mr. Malik. I think that should be a smaller event. I think Gator Harley doing a Bike Fest type event should be something the city and the partnership should have a say-so in whether a special permit gets issued, which now a special permit is a major event. I think then the issue is not a COVID one, but of a copyrights and an event issue. And then also I think that's compounded in today's climate because other communities, especially now in phase 3, may jump on a Gator Bike Fest major event where last week before Friday they may not would have. So I'm happy to, and I have a meeting scheduled with Jan from Gator, and I'll get with Mr. Malik and all the folks over there, but I think probably a fall festival for Harley within our parameters underneath 500 people is a green light. So if that is the direction of the commission, I got it, and we'll move forward accordingly.
Any other discussion from the commission?
Yes, ma'am. I want to be clear because that's not clear and precise, and I know that Gator is on a time crunch, and I don't want us to do to them what we did to the partnership, where 4 days after they canceled, everybody who could have put on a bike event, it all gets lifted, which wasn't because of us, that was the state, but we could have given them that. Gator is sitting right there, and we're sitting right here. I don't think we have to have 5 more meetings to tell him if he can have his...
I don't mean to interrupt, but I thought I was pretty clear. I think if Gator comes and needs a special event, that will mean they need a permit from the city. That's an event over 500 people. Okay? Well, based on that, I would say you probably should think about not issuing that permit, because then, not because of COVID, but I think then you have some partnership, city, Bike Fest, copyright issues going on. If the intent of Gator, which is what they said, was to do a small event, they don't even need a special event permit for that. All they need is an alcohol permit signed off, which Dan's office does, which is no issue. So that's the numbers. 500.
And I would add that I'm definitely on board with that. And I would say that since I believe John from Gator is there, the advertising now currently still says Leesburg Bike Fest may be canceled, but not at Gator Harley Davidson. And that's where I have an issue, is that we're directly saying that we are basically still having Leesburg Bike Fest. It sounds like since that, and I get things don't change all that quickly, some things have changed, and if it's along the lines of what Al is saying, I have no issue. But that's where I got my opposition to this event, was the marketing materials portraying it as a replacement of Leesburg Bike Fest.
So if Jenkins said Leesburg shut down, but we didn't, that would be somehow an infringement?
Say that again.
I'm saying that I understand what Commissioner Roebuck's saying, but at the end of it, really, I mean, it's not, I mean, yeah, Leesburg canceled theirs, but we're still having an event at our dealership. It's still a 2-acre dealership.
The conversation I had with Mr. Mallett,
you want to say something?
the other day was if you do a small event like you've been doing that we've approved through the pandemic is what's scheduled for November, we're good with that.
Our lot at one time. I doubt it very
Exactly.
much. And the Bike Fest thing was, I mean, there's Bike Fests all over the country. Leesburg doesn't have a monopoly on Bike Fest. There's Bike Fest all over. We were thinking about calling it Gator Harley Rally, you know, something like that. But we just came up with Bike Fest, you know, because they're all over the place. But like I said, this event is going to be so much smaller than Leesburg Bike Fest by far. By far. Everybody knows that Leesburg Bike Fest is canceled. Everybody knows that Eustis is not involved and Tiberius is not involved. It's just us, all by ourselves. And we're just trying to have a little bit of a rally. And like I said, it's going to be so minute compared to what you guys usually have here. We're just trying to get something together.
So Mr. Mallett, you're saying your event's going to be under 500 people?
I don't think we'll ever have more than 500 people there in our lot at one time. Okay. I doubt it.
So then, Al, this is not a problem then, is it?
Not a problem.
Okay.
And through the pandemic, we've worked with them. They have a couple events coming up. They do your Oktoberfest. You have the St. Jude's thing coming up.
We have St. Jude's this
You've
weekend.
done some stuff
we have
over the summer.
Veterans thing coming up the weekend before, in November also. So.
Gator Harley's been extremely creative about how they've gotten people to their place through the pandemic.
We could change the name if it bothers everybody. I mean, we can change it to Leesburg, to a Gator Bike Rally. It doesn't need to say Bike Fest. It's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, if he's under 500, you're going to sign up on the permit.
I think he won't even need. That's what I'm trying to say. He won't even need a permit. He's going to have the beer center there.
When it comes to police, we have the Lake County Sheriff's Department come out. We pay for those guys. Come out every year. They're out there. There's 5 of them. They're out there policing the place. So,
okay.
I mean, that's all on us.
So they really don't have an issue.
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mallett.
Okay, are we done with that discussion? You okay?
Hey, as long as this don't come back 2 weeks from now and John's calling me saying that whatever didn't work out, yeah, I'm going to be fine.
So well, if it doesn't work out, it might be something John did, not the city of Leesburg. Okay, we're going to move on before the mayor loses it. Informational reports, none. City attorney items?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. City manager, CARES Act funding update.
Just get you a quick update on this. The county commission reviewed all the municipal CARE Act spend plans on Friday. They did it more in a workshop session, so they didn't formally approve our plans. I anticipate that they will do that tomorrow at their regular meeting. Eligible expense. The county manager's response to that was he felt like the staff at the county was in pretty good position to move forward and determine that and help cities out moving down the road to keep this bus rolling. The next stop is tomorrow when the county hopefully formally puts their stamp on everybody's proposals. I don't anticipate that there'll be any changes. I think what they'll do is they'll put a stamp on it and say move at your own risk, which I think is probably reasonable. Then to the state, and then hopefully how to move forward. I've been in touch with a few businesses, so I think we'll get some good input and a lot of folks coming to get the CARES Act funding.
By the way, I was on that workshop call, and Leesburg was shining, let me tell you that. There was a town that there was some issues about, but the county will take care of it, and they are submitting this, so hopefully no later than the end of the year, this money will be distributed in Leesburg. Anything else?
I just had a couple of questions of Al. I mean, I'm getting a lot of questions in the community on the timelines on this. You know, there's this grant money for the businesses, which is going to be competitive. Everybody's asking timelines. When are forms going to be available? Can you give any insight on that?
Unfortunately, no. My hope is that we can beat the end of the year, as the mayor said. The end of the year is an important date because that's when the CARE Act money is supposed to be spent by the federal regulations. My hope is as soon as the county and the state gets this approved and we get notice that our spend plan is approved, we'll open up a small window to get all the applications in, like day one. Let's say it's October 1. It's not going to be this date, but let's say it is. We'll announce October 1 to October 14 is an application filing period. So that gives everybody 2 weeks. And then we'll say by the 21st, we plan to get the money, the grants approved. So everything comes in an X period, and we'll turn it around as quick as we can. I'm hopeful that by the end of October, first part of November, we can get the money out.
Okay, and I think the city's done a good job. I will vent toward, the other parts of government. I mean, we need to get this money into the economy, and it's just moving too slow.
Okay.
That was the end of my rant.
Thank you. And you're done. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck?
This would, I know this has been a very difficult time for everyone with the coronavirus, especially staff who has to deal with the uncertainty sometimes created by us on the commission and what we all want and what the business community wants and what nonprofit groups want. And I'd just like to commend them for remaining professional throughout. And, I don't know that any of us are 100% happy with the way everything's panned out. We're probably doing more events than maybe I would like and probably less than some other commissioners would like. But I think in Leesburg, we've mostly felt ended up with a good middle ground of never shutting things down all the way, continuing to move forward in a safe way. And I think things are going to continue to change, and we just got to react to things as they come. And I wish we could give everyone an answer for how everything is going to be for the next 5 months. I just think that, unfortunately, we're going to continue to deal with a lot of uncertainty, and we'll just have to get by the best we can. But overall, I think staff's done a very good job.
Commissioner Christian?
I was sitting here tonight and I was reflecting. We haven't done an evaluation on the city manager. But I want to say to Al that I think he's done an admirable job for our city, and I think Al has grown tremendously as a city manager. I remember those meetings where Al would be combative with Commissioner Hurley, or he will raise his voice with myself. And
we're just combative.
I think Al has really grown in the office of Leesburg city manager. Just wanted to commend him on his professionalism and his restraint in the last few years. So Al, just kudos to you and congratulations. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hurley?
Yeah, and ditto all that. I would like to say, though, to the commission, and I do believe that everybody has tried within the best of our abilities. I think the intentions by everybody has been pure. But as we go forward with this, I'd like to remind the commission and the new commissioners coming on to never forget that we work for the community and we work for those who elected us. And we get the idea sometimes that we're the one, everybody else is dumb, don't have no common sense, and who cares what you think or want. And at the end of the day, the people that sit on that side of the table are the people that are in charge. So if 24,000 people want to do something and 1,000 don't, I think we should listen to the majority. And I would encourage the commission to remember who it is that we work for. And it is not any other government agencies or the doctor at a hospital or any of that. So that's, I appreciate everybody being open today and willing to get Leesburg moving. And I'm excited to have some type of normalcy, and hopefully the vaccines will start coming down really soon and we'll get back to living life.
Commissioner Peterson?
Just a few more comments on this CARES Act money. I guess I'm looking at Al. Can we go ahead and get our procedures and forms and how we're going to get this money distributed? I mean, and where I'm going with this is I think we're all confident the money's coming, Once we get our approval, we have the financial condition to go ahead and fund it in advance, which we've talked about. So I just want to be sure we are ready with, website, forms, whatever it takes to get this money into the economy and get it going. And I'm sure you're way ahead of me on that, but I just want to be sure we're all on the same page on that.
I will have an approval process to you by October, the October meeting.
Thank you.
Mayor Dennison?
Just a reminder to the commissioners to please think about what you want with the rest of this money for the distribution so that we can finalize that at the next meeting. Last week I attended another groundbreaking for the Leesburg High School Dream Team. That's the construction academy that did such a phenomenal job with Habitat for Humanity and Romac Lumber as a supporter. This one is over off of Pixiola, and they're really excited. There's a large group, and including 3 women, which I was glad to see. So that house will be going up this year. That's the project that they're working on. On Saturday, Miss Leesburg had their pageant, and this was the first one that was broadcast live by Lakefront TV. And if you missed it, it really was a good pageant. Please check on YouTube and Lakefront TV. And I'd like to congratulate the girls who won Saturday. Tiny Miss Leesburg was a Zarani Taylor. Little Miss Leesburg was Shaylin Shumati. Junior Miss was Kalisa O'Brien. Teen Miss was Kirsten Riley. And Miss Leesburg was Riley McDowell. They will serve their term from 2020 to 2021. And as you know, many of the appearances that they make all over town, all year long, they really bring a lot to the city. So thank you very much for that. Congratulations to those young ladies. And that's for me. Okay? We're adjourned.